And we're expecting 50 something.
Yeah, we have about 54 registered.
Wonderful.
Maybe we can just give it until like 9:04.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you everyone for dialing in. We're just going to wait another couple of moments to let other people dial into the session. Hi everyone, we just have a few other people joining, so we'll leave it another moment or two and then we will start today's session. Thanks for coming. Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the Bristol Fundraisers Group session. It's really nice to have you all here. And there may be some people joining as we go. And just a little bit of housekeeping as well. We are recording this session so that we can share it after. Today's session title is Crypto Philanthropy 101. And we have speakers today from the Giving Block and from Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home. So just on the Giving Block, first of all, they're a cryptocurrency donor platform who connect charities with crypto donations. And today for us, they're going to be covering an introduction to crypto philanthropy, crypto fundraising best practice, services that the Giving Block can provide to you, and answering any questions that you have on crypto philanthropy. And you're also going to hear from Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home, who last year received a cryptocurrency donation of around £87,000 towards their charity's food bank service, Paul's Pantry. So really looking forward to hearing more from both of those panelists today. Thank you for joining us. Just to repeat again on housekeeping, the session is going to be recorded today. And I'm going to hand over now to Carl Simpson from the Giving Block to start the session off. Thank you, Carl.
Thanks, Laura. Excited to be here with all of you guys. Welcome to Crypto Philanthropy 101. The goal here is just to give you guys a good overview of what crypto philanthropy is, why it's trending in the space, kind of how it works, and hopefully make everything a little bit less scary. And I've got David Mitchell here from Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home. If you want to give yourself a quick intro, David, then I can kick things off.
Thanks, Carol. Yes, I'm the cryptocurrency and digital fundraising manager at Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home, and we've been working in the crypto space now for almost a year and have had some moderate successes and some good donations and built some good relationships. So I'm looking forward to having the chance to chat to you about that, maybe explaining about how some of that's worked.
Yeah, I think it's always so helpful to have people have direct fundraising experience on these panels to give you their direct experience. So I think Dave's going to be really helpful here. So I'll kick things off. This is this intro slide for me. Just a little bit background about me. I'm an account executive here at the Giving Block. I've worked with hundreds of different nonprofits in the U.S., internationally, hospitals, universities, a lot of different nonprofits, community foundations, really setting them up to accept crypto, as easy as possible and in a safe and compliant way, and then help them fundraise crypto and give them solutions to what makes them successful fundraising. The first time I was introduced to crypto was from a game called StarCraft back in 2012. The first place prize was $500, and the second and third place prizes were about 100 Bitcoin. So crypto has changed a lot since then. If any of you guys have some funny stories or experiences about when you first were introduced to crypto, definitely post them in the chat. I think it'll be a fun experience. And then this is Dave Mitchell. I think I jumped the gun on our intros, but just a little bit about, if you want to read an intro about, dog and cat home, just a little bit of context, that'll be good, Dave.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we are quite a established charity. We've been in operation for almost 140 years now in Edinburgh, rehoming dogs into loving homes, rescuing stray pets. But more recently, we've also been involved in some more community-based projects, doing outreach in terms of providing pet food banks to people who are experiencing pet poverty. Also doing general dog advocacy in terms of laws around pet welfare. And we provide training to people such as pet first aid, just anything involving the welfare of animals, of cats and dogs. We kind of work in that space.
And then just a quick agenda. We're going to start off with just an intro to crypto, what crypto is, jump into, what crypto philanthropy looks like, end of year giving, because that's definitely coming up pretty soon. And then kind of what getting started looks like. So we're going to start with section 1, which is our intro to crypto. Just wanted to start off with a question. Do you guys accept stock donations? Is this something that you guys are already familiar with? I know a lot of organizations that I speak with are accepting stock donations, but in the chat, if you just want to post like a yes or no, if you're accepting stock donations, will give me a good. So it looks like Alexandra says no. So it looks like a lot of you guys aren't getting stock donations, not accepting stock donations just yet. So really good question. At least in the US, a lot of organizations are accepting stock donations. And just like with stock donations, crypto is another method for donors to be able to donate. In the US and in the UK, there are some tax incentives to donate crypto where donors can write off capital appreciation gains. And just to kind of contextualize crypto's growth in the space, these are some of the user numbers from Charles Schwab, Fidelity, really big investment exchanges, brokerage firms. And you can see that Coinbase has actually eclipsed the total users for these giant investment exchanges. So this is just showing how big crypto's user base is growing internationally. We have about 300 million users. And then what's really exciting about crypto is people want to donate it. This is something that's trending on Google. In 2020, we had about half as many people Google donate Bitcoin as donate stocks. In 2021, we saw that number about double. And then in 2022, we've seen just about the same number of people Google donate stocks and donate Bitcoin. So that's pretty exciting. It's definitely something that's growing and trending in terms of what people are Googling and searching. And there's a huge active user base. People think of crypto as something that people just invest in and hold and hope that it goes up in value. But in 2021, we actually saw transactions over the Ethereum network eclipse the Visa network, which is a huge card services network. And then I want to ask David, since you started fundraising, do you know if you get more donations through Ethereum or through Bitcoin? What kind of crypto is trending in terms of what you guys are receiving?
So the vast majority for us is Ethereum. And I think that tends to be because a lot of projects that we work with are involved in the NFT space or the development space, and that seems to be their preferred currency. So when it comes time to donate, Ethereum is what they tend to use.
So mostly Ethereum-based transactions through those like NFT projects.
Yeah, yes, exactly, and occasionally some stable coins as well. but it seems to be Ethereum more so than Bitcoin. We'll occasionally have a little bit of Bitcoin, but that tends to be from the one-off individual donor. When we partner with a sort of larger project or someone with a presence in the space, an organization, we tend to donate Ethereum, as we've found.
Yeah, and that seems pretty on par with the trends. Last year, about 95% of what was donated was Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then US dollar coin. But we did see Ethereum overtake Bitcoin, which was by far more what was donated in 2020 because of some of the donation prevalence to those NFT projects. So that's been a pretty interesting trend in the space just to keep up with. The user base is really active, and they're also a lot younger than typical user bases. 94% are millennials and Gen Zs, so usually late 20s, early 40s. So really important for diversifying donor demographics. A lot of organizations' donor bases tend to trend older. So something unique and appealing about the crypto demographic is that they do tend to be a little bit younger. And I was just looking at Katie's question in the chat. So we don't have any specific numbers on crypto from organizations in the UK. About 25% of our organizations are international. So that's in the UK, EU, Australia, the other 75, 80% in the US. That being said, our UK organizations tend to be some of our higher performing organizations on the platform. But I don't have any specific numbers for you right now, but would love to get you some statistics after the presentation. Katie. So crypto also has a wealthy user base. So this is part of what makes it really attractive for nonprofits to really try to target and cultivate these net new donors. 83% of millennial millionaires have at least a quarter or more of their assets in crypto, and 50% have at least some exposure to crypto. So that's, or 83% have, 50% have a quarter or more of their assets in crypto, and 83% have some exposure. So when you're looking at targeting younger donors, typically it's hard to find younger donors that have the means to make significant donations to charities, where crypto is kind of ideally in a unique situation where the donors do tend to be younger, but they tend to be higher net worth as well. And then what makes crypto really appealing for donors to want to donate is historically it's been the best performing asset class of the last 10 years, which means that a lot of these donors have made a ton of money in crypto, even though there's a current market correction right now. It's still outperforming the S&P 500 major stock indexes. And I would love to kick it over to David just to see how your team has responded to the market. If you've seen any trends from the crypto downturn, what that's looked like for you, and at least in 2022, compared to like late 2021 last year when crypto was at an all-time high.
I think we have noticed a change in donations. I think the amount of money that organizations have to fund charity projects does seem like it's maybe decreased somewhat. But in saying that, we have forged plenty of new partnerships with crypto organizations in the past year. This month, we are running a crowdfunder to raise money for a new van, which was kicked off very successfully, and we're about 50% of the way towards raising that. So from our perspective, and I think from a lot of charities' perspective, we're used to the market's changing. There's times when people are in a position to give, and there's times where money's a little bit tighter. And it's the same if you're doing major donor fundraising or corporate donor fundraising, or in our case, cryptocurrency fundraising. So we do notice it, but just like any other form of fundraising, it just means we need to roll up our sleeves, maybe work that a little bit harder, and just really push those relationships and try and build, because we're confident as well that we build the relationships now. When the market does pick back up, we'll have those relationships there, and there will be people certainly willing to give and hopefully be quite generous.
And that's something that we've seen organizations who are really successful at the Giving Block trend to do. When crypto is really high, all of the organizations who try to accept crypto at the peak of the excitement tend to have less fundraising success than organizations like yours who are building out those relationships during those down markets. And then you're ultimately building up a Rolodex of potential major givers in the future when the market does peak again. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes in crypto fundraising, is that organizations really wait till crypto is at peak excitement to start engaging with those donors, when it's probably going to be the hardest for them to actually do that outreach. So what is cryptocurrency? I'll try to give a brief and not too complicated explanation. So cryptocurrencies use code to create the first asset class with really two different things: unchangeable transaction records and then unchangeable supply. So you can see where, so if somebody donates crypto to David, they can actually post their receipt on social media. You can scan that receipt and see the exact transaction. You can confirm that one person sent their crypto directly into his bank account, which is really cool. So there's a lot of transparency there. And there's also unchangeable supply. So there's a fixed number of Bitcoin, and nobody can make a counterfeit. You can't counterfeit a Bitcoin, which is very, has a lot of utility in the currency space. Additionally, leading traits, there's 24-hour market. So if somebody sends crypto at 3 a.m. on a Saturday morning, you guys are going to get it in cash at 3:01, 3:02. It's divisible and it has much quicker authorization speeds than like your typical money transfer networks. What are NFTs? NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens. So you can think of all the benefits of like the blockchain's unchangeable record systems for things other than a currency. So an NFT for like a currency has a code, that currency is trackable. You can do the same thing with a piece of artwork. It's basically a deed to the artwork that the owner knows that they own that artwork. It's not counterfeited. That's the original piece of artwork. And would love to see, some of the donations through NFT projects that you've done, David, any success you've had in the space, and maybe how some of those came about when we're talking about NFTs, because it's definitely something pretty exciting for the crypto space in the last few years.
Sure. So yes, when we're thinking about soliciting donations, NFT projects are one of the first places that we often approach, primarily because to some degree it's an easier way of working, especially if you're new to the crypto space, because what you learn quickly about NFTs it's people selling selling an item and taking profit from it. So therefore they have this pool of money effectively that they've made, generated, and often they will just put a section of that away in a pot specifically for charitable endeavours. So in our case, we have simply used the normal tools of the trade when you're doing research, Twitter, Google, to just find NFT projects, often ones that are animal related in our case, people who are doing artwork based around cats and dogs and selling them. And we just simply approach them to say, obviously you've got a passion for animals, and you seem to care for these causes. Would you be willing to support our work, and see where that relationship takes us? And as I say, some people set up NFT projects specifically with a charitable dimension to them, in the knowledge they want to give a portion of their proceeds to charity. But some organizations don't do that as an intent, but when approached, are perfectly happy to give and perfectly willing to support. So NFTs have arguably been the most, one of the most successful ways for us to get into the space, and it's a good way of approaching these crypto projects, because you can see what they're doing, and it's all very transparent, and it's very obvious as to how they're funding things. It's just a lot more relatable than some of the other more technical aspects of crypto, I would say.
Another cool thing I think that NFTs provide is that not only are you reaching out to that project and they're donating those proceeds to you guys, but on social media, those projects tend to be like really engaged with their audience and the charities that they're donating to. So yeah, you get that immediate donation, but then also you get immediate exposure to all of the crypto donors and their audience. And it's kind of like this network effect on social media. And we'll get into it in a little bit, but it's part of what makes crypto donors so appealing, is that not only are they donating to charities, but they're really engaged with them online. And it creates this big network effect of you being connected to other donors, to other projects that might have thought that was a good idea. So NFTs have been trending, pretty relatively the last few years in terms of donation growth on our platform. So this leads us into intro to crypto philanthropy. And what does crypto philanthropy look like? Why donate crypto? I know I touched on this a little bit, but it's very similar tax incentives to donating stocks, just compounded by the appreciation, the volatility of the asset over the last few years. And in really, in simple terms, if somebody has like $100,000 in crypto, at least in the US, now it's $1 million, they can donate that full $1 million without triggering the taxable events. I believe it's pretty similar in the UK, although I'm not a tax professional and legally cannot give tax advice, or I'm told I'll go to prison or something like that. But that's the big difference, is that crypto's gone up so much in price that people have a tax incentive to donate that, as opposed to other appreciated assets. And then really the value of that highly active user base that we were talking about before. Most people, when they donate stocks, they're not interacting about it. They're not telling all of their friends that they donated, 3 Apple shares to a charity. Whereas with crypto, they can actually take those receipts, post them on social media. Their whole network can see that, and then hopefully challenge them to donate additionally to that charity or something like that as well. So they're really active and engaged on social media. And then who fundraises crypto? We work with St. June's, top universities, community foundations, American Cancer Society. This might seem as something relatively new, and it definitely is in its infancy, but we work with about 2,000 different nonprofits internationally in about 80 different countries, hundreds of blue chip nonprofits, but still primarily small, mid-sized local nonprofits, really between 5 to 10 million in annual revenue. And we do have some museums using the Giving Block. Rebecca, if you go to thegivingblock.com, you can actually click donate and just search in our search field museums, and you can see all of the museums on our platform that we're currently work with. Definitely recommended to find organizations that you might have worked with in the past that you already know of, and then reach out to them to learn a little bit more about their experience. That's why I think it's great to have David on here to give you that direct experience from other nonprofits that are using the platform. I think that's very helpful. So who are crypto donors? I know we touched on this, but 45% of them donate $1,000 or more. So just statistically more philanthropic than like your average donors. Average age is about 30 years old, so late 25 to early 40s. Average income of a crypto user is about 111,000. So they tend to be much higher net worth, more financially savvy. And then actually the average donation size in 2021 was around 10,500. We recently had our largest donation of $9.5 million a couple weeks ago. So I like to generally give the average as between 1 to 10,000, because we do see really big donations that sometimes skew that to the larger size. Would you say that's like kind of accurate, David?
Yes, for us, it falls into 2 broad categories, where the unsolicited donations that just come into us tend to be lower. They tend to be the values of, $10, $20, $50 or UK equivalent. But when we've been working with somebody and have a bit of a relationship and we know the organization, and there's been some discussion back and forth, the donations tend to sit somewhere between 5,000 to around, 20,000. And when people have, in the case of our largest donation, that was, almost, well, it was 6-figure dollar value. Yeah, but for the most part, that's the sort of price point we're putting at. So again, we consider it closer to major donor fundraising or corporate fundraising in terms of sort of donation levels we'll get in, but we still receive a steady stream of just smaller donations from individuals as well.
And do you find that like those crypto donors are from within your existing donor base, or are most of these donors completely new donors? What does your crypto donors look like, and how do you think they're different from like your normal traditional donor base?
Well, we made a decision when we moved into the crypto space that rather than try to move our existing donor base towards that form of giving, what we do is investigate the space as it was. So for us, we're very much moving into the space and trying to talk to people who are already quite passionate adherents of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and we're already of the mindset to use that, and then simply talking to them about our cause, just the same way we would approach anyone else. So from our point of view, from the perspective of having the Giving Block, it's taken a lot of the technical aspects out of things, and it just means we can go to approach people with the story of our mission and what our organization does. And essentially, it's just opening that story out to new people and doing it online. As I say, a lot of my time is spent looking at these projects and people in the crypto and NFT space on Twitter, and then making an approach to them to ask them if they're interested to hear more about our organization.
Did you know about any of the NFT projects before you joined the Giving Block, or is that something that you were opened up after joining the Giving Block? So I know it can be kind of like what do I do if I would like to fundraise through NFTs, but how do I do that? How do I go about doing that? I was wondering if did you know of any NFT projects before joining the Giving Block?
Not really, not specifically. No, I mean, I knew from from having knowledge of the crypto space, I'd heard about the very big NFT projects, the ones that you hear about, the high sales figures and stuff like that. But no, when we started to fundraise, it was just a case of opening up the laptop, Googling for NFTs, charity, that sort of thing, finding them, just spending a bit of time looking at what they were doing, understanding a little bit about what they were about. And once we felt that we thought we understood what they were operating in the space, we would just approach them and just ask them, say, we're very interested in what you do. Would you like to support our work? Is there any way we could work together? And from there, you quickly build up a relationship that's no longer based on cryptocurrency per se, and you're no longer talking about technical matters like NFTs. You're really just talking person to person and just explaining your mission. And if it resonates with them, then often, they'll make that donation. But quite quickly, the technical aspects we found fall away, and you're really just using the skills you already have as a fundraiser, which is telling a story, making people aware of your cause, talking to people, stewarding them through making a donation, thanking them, all that sort of stuff. So to some degree, once you get your bearings in the space, quite quickly, all the skills you already have fundraising just take over and guide you through from that perspective.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect explanation of what we try to enable you guys to do, is really use your fundraising expertise and try to fundraise through NFTs through these new donors without having to worry about the technical components, the technical aspect. So I think that really is the whole goal here. And then I want to move it along. So I know we were talking about NFTs for a little bit, but jumping into what is crypto philanthropy. So for crypto donors, crypto philanthropy is a couple different things. It's a tax efficient way to give, but really it's the most fun way to give. A lot of these different projects who are partnering with our organizations are, artists. They're creating a community. They're creating an audience, and they're sharing their artwork, things that they like, and they're engaging with the nonprofits really directly, actively on Twitter, giving them exposure to other nonprofits. So I think that's the really big, exciting opportunity here. Is we're trying to incentivize organizations to invest in the future-proofing your major gift strategies and really future-proofing your overall donor base. But for nonprofits, it's really revenue today. It's future-proofing your major gift strategy, and it's staying exciting internally and externally. So for a lot of nonprofits, accepting crypto isn't just a donation method, but it's extra fuel to the fire for marketing efforts, for organizations who create press releases, social media posts. It tends to be some of their most engaged with content. So it's also a marketing push as well for nonprofits. And what is NFT philanthropy? 97% of NFT philanthropy is simply donating crypto from auctioning off NFTs. An artist is going to be selling their art for crypto, and then they can make the donation to Edinburgh. They can make the donation to any nonprofit that we work with. So a lot of the times, organizations like David will reach out to an artist. They'll collaborate together. They'll make the drop. We'll collaborate with them, help them with the auction proceeds in some instances, and then donate the proceeds. Sometimes NFTs will actually reach out to the giving block, and they'll ask for different organizations that they'd like to support. So if they're a turtle-based organizations, they'll ask for marine conservation organizations that we have in our platform, turtle conservation organizations, and we'll actually directly connect that NFT project with a nonprofit that we're serving. So it's usually in those two different capacities. And then what's really cool with NFTs is not only can they attribute nonprofits as the recipient for the proceeds of the sale or a percentage of the proceeds, but they can also designate nonprofits as the recipient for royalties for the sale. So anytime an NFT is sold in perpetuity, some of our clients can actually receive that as well, depending on which NFT project they work with and how they want to separate that split. So this has been a really exciting part of crypto philanthropy. And where is crypto philanthropy going? Donation volume, even though it's way up from 2020, we had about 5 million in donations. 2021, we did just under 70 million. Donation volume is still below where it should be, given the size of the community and how much money is in cryptocurrency. And with that is tax education, where a lot of these donors still don't know that if they donate their crypto, it might make the most sense for them from a tax incentive purpose. So that's part of what we help organizations do, is educate existing donors, the broader donor base, of what some of those tax incentives are. And then there's also a great wealth transfer ongoing right now. So part of the difficulty with diversifying donor bases and reaching out to a younger donor base is that, at least in the US, people under 40 have between 5 and 9% of US wealth, depending on the studies that you look at. So even though younger donors tend to be more philanthropically minded overall, they just don't have the capital to make these significant donations to charities. And with this great wealth transfer that's ongoing, is that younger generation is going to come into a lot more money. A lot of those are going to be crypto investors. So that's something that we're forecasting in terms of really the growth, the potential of this space, where crypto philanthropy could potentially go. So we're going to jump into end of year fundraising, some of the exciting things that we have coming up. Like with stock donations, other appreciated donations, even just the general giving season. End of year is really big for the giving block. So what do features of a successful crypto philanthropy program look like? I can jump into, kind of, you want to make crypto easy for your team, and I'll let David talk on some of these too. Like, how do you think that you were able to become so successful? I know you've talked about it a little bit already. But really make crypto easy for your team. So that's part of what we try to do at the giving block. Make crypto something that's really turnkey. Should be a lot easier than a stock acceptance procedure for some of the guys that are accepting stocks already. For some of you guys that don't want to accept stock, because you might have heard that it's difficult. Crypto is very straightforward. It's super automated. We automate everything that you guys need internally to make that technical process very easy for you guys. You don't want to neglect your donor needs. So part of working with us, we're going to automate receipts for your donors. We have private client services for all of our clients. So if you guys have somebody who wants to donate $100,000 in Bitcoin, we'll have our head of our private client services, Mike McLean, walk them through a more stewarded, handheld approach. So they're not just sending them to a widget. He'll make sure you guys get the best market rate. They have the best donor experience. Really turn them into a recurring donor, do all that stewardship that's necessary. And then a crypto philanthropy specific support team, make sure that you guys can get all the answers for any crypto questions that you want. If you want to fundraise through NFTs, if you want to do anything in the crypto space, hold crypto for your donors, that you're able to do that without having to navigate those intricacies all on your own. And really, this I think is the most important part, which is, don't just accept crypto, don't just add it as a donation method, fundraise it. Organizations who are active on social media, reaching out to NFT projects, reaching out to major donors, tend to have drastically increased outsized fundraising successes than organizations who just add it as a donation method. And I think David can be a testament to the success that he's had at fundraising crypto on social media, as opposed to just like adding it for a donation method for your existing donors. So here's some of our end of year statistics from last year. More than 50% of all of our crypto donations happened in Q4. More crypto donations happened in October than the first 5 months of the year combined. So you've actually seen, the end of year be a lot more successful for organizations fundraising crypto, similar to other appreciated assets. So this is a really exciting time for us at the Giving Block, and we have lots of different campaigns that we have for the end of the year. We have Crypto Giving Tuesday, which is in partner with the Giving Tuesday Foundation. Our bag season campaign, which runs all of December and late November, which is really our end of the year Bitcoin giving season. And we have fundraising dates and events for all the nonprofits that we work with. So jumping into how to message to donors for the end of the year, you really want to effectively target different communities. Every cryptocurrency has its own community. It's not just about Bitcoin. So we have Bitcoin, Ethereum, US dollar coin, Solana, a lot of different, we have Dogecoin, which has been successful for some of our animal-based organizations. There's some good crossover there. But there's different strategies for converting donors based on what crypto they invested. They have different interests, they have different memes, different lingo. So we like to share all of that knowledge with the nonprofits when they're looking to tap into these individual communities. Effectively educate on taxes. If you educate poorly, you fundraise poorly. So failing to properly incorporate tax education is just going to make you less successful than you overly could be. There's a lot of existing donors and organizations' donor bases that might be potential major givers, that if they knew that there was a tax education component here, you could turn an individual giver into a major giver pretty easily by just giving them some knowledge. So I think this is an important part as well for how you're messaging to really your existing donors. And then you can also make social media posts educating the broader audience as well. If somebody learns about their crypto tax burden from you guys, they might want to make that donation to you guys. So thank you. So that's an important component too. And then really create content that crypto users like. Be someone worth staying in touch with. The crypto demographic, the younger demographic, is really engaging on social media. So it just makes sense to be engaging back with them, match that energy. They really like to see support from the nonprofits that they're supporting. And then here's an overview. Don't wait until end of the year. Fundraise actively through October and November. And I think that goes towards like bear markets as well. Last year, organizations who jumped on right at the end of the bull market tended to be less successful than organizations who are fundraising through the bear market, through maybe less activity in the crypto industry in general. And they consistently put calls to actions in front of your donors, new donor audiences. Take Crypto Giving Tuesday, NF Tuesday, and our bag season seriously. We give you guys like pre-made templates, really turnkey solutions for your social media strategy to tap into these campaigns, these different audiences. Don't skip the fundamentals. Publish the search engine optimized content. Be as engaging as you can be, and then just don't stop in January. Even if that crypto donation volume might slow throughout the first half of the year, just like David said, that's the perfect time to keep building these relationships, keep stewarding these donors, and then that's a potential major giver, in the future or towards the end of the year. So what does getting started look like? Key takeaways. Really getting started is all about saving time, maximizing revenue. So our turnaround time, we're looking at 7 to 10 days to start accepting crypto. We're trying to make everything as automatic as it can be for you guys. So taking the crypto, turning it into cash, depositing into your bank accounts, so you guys can focus on that fundraising component, what you're good at, which is actively fundraising crypto. So some takeaways here. There's really no substitute for crypto philanthropy experience. Crypto experience doesn't equal crypto philanthropy experience. Philanthropy experience, doesn't equal crypto philanthropy experience. But I think there are a lot of good crossovers with being a philanthropy professional, using those tools to tapping into the crypto market. But we're going to give you all the resources to make that messaging as appropriate as it can be. Something like saying cryptocurrency in 2 different words, so you don't want to scare the donors. We're going to try to give you all that information so you're as successful with the crypto community as you can be. And then I know we touched on this, but really organizations who are fundraising crypto tend to be the most successful on our platform. So if you're going to accept crypto, go big, reach out to those new donor communities, reach out to those new donor audiences. That's how you're going to get those outsized donation volumes. So now's the time to get started fundraising with crypto. 2 years ago, we had about 100 clients, and we're on track to end the year with 3,000 to 4,000. The lines to crypto donors really are only going to get longer. And we raised more crypto in the last 3 months of the year than the first 8 months combined. So 2022 really is going to be the biggest year for crypto. Just be a part of it if you can. I think one of the biggest concerns for nonprofits is this going to be something difficult to do? And in my opinion, it's one of the easiest things that you can do in terms of setting up a new donation method. So what does getting started look like? Talk to the giving block for a demo, prepare that internal conversation. Once approved, you can open up your crypto account. Usually we're looking at about 7 to 10 days towards the end of the year. Create a donate crypto page on your site, and then add the widget, and then announce publicly that you guys are accepting crypto. Remind your existing donors. Work with strategists to earn, convert and steward crypto donors. So those are going to be strategists from the Giving Block team. And then thank you guys for all attending. Would love to do a Q&A session, but before we jump into that, would love to have any last remarks from David on the presentation, on crypto fundraising in general, anything that's front of mind right now.
Sure. I mean, I think I would agree wholeheartedly with the contents of the presentation and all the points that are made within that. And I think from a fundraising perspective, the few things that I would say are, I've talked again about how once you get over the initial implementation of being able to take crypto, which in fairness to Given Block does make very straightforward. You're very much, after a little bit of a learning curve, just getting to know the space and the lingo and just feeling your way into that, just through following accounts on social media. Very quickly, you've moved it into a fundraising space, and you really are just using your fundraising skills as you would with any other type of fundraising. And the other thing I think I'd say about the crypto community is that they are very generous. As a group of people, they tend to be people who like new, innovative things. They tend to be quite optimistic, almost utopian. They kind of want to be involved in building a better world. That's a lot of what cryptocurrency is about. And the ethos that goes behind cryptocurrency often translates well into philanthropy, and people want to make an impact in the world. And the crypto people, the crypto communities, and the people involved in it, they know the technical stuff. They know their world, but they don't always know as much about how to have a positive impact in the world. And that's why nonprofits partner really well with them, because if you can show them how what their activities, what they're doing in the crypto space has a positive impact in the world, that makes for a good partnership. And often when you go to talk to people about cryptocurrency, they're very pleased to hear from you, because for a time, cryptocurrency was thought of as quite a niche thing and maybe not something for the mainstream. But now when we go to them as an organization with a 140-year-old history and say, we're interested in what you're doing, we want to hear from you, we want to work with you, they really seem to appreciate that, and they really respond to it well. They really want to form partnerships. So when you meet the right people in the space, very quickly they become good supporters and willing to give, really.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting about the spaces. They do tend to be utopian. They do tend to be, really trying to strive for a better world. So I think they're much more likely to give back. And then I've also seen a trend that once you get some of those first donations pledged, once you've kind of broken through to the crypto audience, it does seem to be like a network effect where you get exposed to all these different audiences, all these different communities, and they see what you're doing. So it's just another good avenue of getting your message out there to a whole new audience. And then it looks like Kristen had one question for you, David, which was on the concern for crypto and the environment. I'll let you take that. And then wanted to see also like what other kind of concerns that you bump into when you were thinking about accepting crypto as well.
Sure. Well, I mean, when we think about accepting cryptocurrency, and we've talked to quite a lot of organizations about this, and we've been able to sort of steer them through it, there tends to be a few recurring things that people ask about. One is environmental concern, and the other one tends to be just around, donor anonymity and not really being sure how that sort of side of things works. With the environmental concern, our position is that everything we do has some environmental costs, whether that's a direct mailing based on paper or whether it's cryptocurrency fundraising. And what we try to do is just balance the energy effects alongside the benefit to the mission. And for us, we've had tremendous success for our mission. And we've been able to run a year-long food bank project based on a cryptocurrency donation. So for us, it's all about that balance. And I think within the crypto space as well, there tends to be an acknowledgement around energy concerns. And people who follow crypto will know that recently one of the second largest cryptocurrency of them all, Ethereum, recently changed to how they process their cryptocurrency effectively, and it had a massive reduction of almost, I think, close to like 95% in energy consumption. So the space itself is moving, the space itself is developing. And as long as you're comfortable about the policies you have in place, about why you're accepting cryptocurrency, then I think you can essentially balance that against the cost. But for us, it's all about just how does the energy that is expended compared to the benefit to the mission. And that's really the balance that we found, and we found in favour of cryptocurrency in that respect. And the other concern around sort of anonymity and anonymous donors and all that sort of stuff, we also found that quickly fell away once we were in the space, and that any of the significant donations that we received tended to be from people who we had an initial social media relationship with. We typed messages, we talked online. Very quickly that developed to the point we were exchanging messages, and then very quickly we were having Zoom and Skype meetings, and very quickly it becomes person to person. So in that respect, there is probably some due diligence you can do when looking at receiving donations from a funder. You can try to understand a little bit about who they are in the crypto space and their background and that sort of thing. But I'd also say there's technologies now ever increasing that are helping to combat any sort of inappropriate use of cryptocurrency. There's big organizations like Chainalysis who are constantly scanning wallets to find anyone they think might not be a reputable source of income. So the space is certainly getting moving forward leaps and bounds in that respect. But I would say the key thing is for people to understand the benefits that cryptocurrency could bring to the organization, and then from their crafting policies to justify your thoughts and to help your audiences understand why you're moving into this space. And very quickly, if there are questions about why you're doing this, or is this the right move that comes from your supporter base, quite quickly, if you receive some donations, that tends to sort of answer that question. Because once people see that the donations are coming and they're allowing you to fulfill your mission, to some degree, that sways a lot of people who might have been on the fence about the idea, or might be a little bit concerned about this new sort of way of doing things. So I think there are concerns, but I know that the Giving Block have lots of good information. There's plenty of other good sources of information out there that you can read up on and understand, you know, how to build a little bit of a case within your organization for moving into this space. And as long as you're comfortable with it and you understand why you're doing it and how it's going to benefit your mission, you can build a very compelling argument that cryptocurrency is the way forward.
Yeah, I think that's I was talking to Andy from Pause yesterday, and that was almost exactly how she approached that environmental impact question, which is just looking at the direct impact that the crypto donations will have on their organization, and knowing that, you know, if they're going to accept a donation of like a SPY, the index fund, that's going to have some maybe companies within that they don't agree with, but they're going to take that money, turn it into cash, and then use it for, you know, their mission, which has you know, environmental impacts. I will say at the Giving Block, we do take the environmental impacts into account. Proof of stake has helped on the Ethereum side. Already 60% of crypto, so just macroeconomically, 60% of crypto is mined via renewable energy. So I do think that the crypto community takes into account the energy intensiveness of the actual mining of the crypto. But at the Giving Block, our exchange partner that we partner with that uses Chainalysis for donor KYC for anonymity, they have a program called Gemini Green where they actually buy equivalent, they estimate their carbon usage via the blockchain by equivalent carbon offsets. So that's our exchange partner. And then at the Giving Block, we also have the Giving Block TGB Green program where we actually we estimate our carbon usage via the blockchain through all the transactions that go through the nonprofits that we work with. And we buy 2x equivalent carbon offsets as well. So I think combining all those things together makes a really good case that, you know, we're trying to be not only, you know, carbon neutral, but trying to be carbon positive in terms of what our impact is using this new technology. So I think those are all, you know, really good points. And then it looks like Katie had a question on if you have to be a 501c3. So you actually don't have to be a 501c3. We work with about 80 different countries around the world. You just have to be a registered charity equivalent. In the UK, the EU, we work in Australia, Canada, different Asian countries, South Africa. So lots of different organizations around the world. If you want a full list of the different areas of availability that we have, I can definitely send that to you too, Katie. And then a question from Luke, does the charity own the crypto when donated, or do they just receive the cash equivalent in value? So you guys actually are set up with your own institutional exchange account, and you own the crypto from when it's received. Generally, you have two different options with the Giving Block. You can take the crypto, turn it into cash right away, and then deposit into your bank account, or you can actually hold the crypto as an investment if you don't need the money right away. I will say that not financial advice, legally can't give tax advice or financial advice, but generally most of the organizations that we work with, they choose to take the crypto and then turn it into fiat currency pretty much as quickly as they get it. But you do have the option to hold the crypto as an investment if that's, you know, what your investment strategy was. So you have both those options with the Giving Block. And then Helena, you said, what impact will the collapse of FTX have on trust in the crypto? So I'll touch on the FTX question in a second, Helena. Do you want to answer Kate's question, David, on where do most of your new donors come from and how you find them?
Sure. I mean, for us, they are new donors. I would say that we made a conscious effort to say, well, we know what we're doing with our existing supporters, so we'll leave them and we'll move into this crypto space. And quite quickly, to be honest, you find out that the tools that are at your disposal are usually Google and Twitter. And it's just a case of searching maybe for your cause. So you might want to, depending on what sector you worked in, you might want to try and Google or just Twitter search for mental health NFT charity and just see what pops up. And then from there, once you're into a network, once you find one crypto project or one person who's working in the space, very quickly, by looking at who they're following, who they're talking to, you start to sort of map out the space. A lot of cryptocurrency stuff happens, a lot of their own communities happen on other channels like Telegram or Discord, these sort of other messaging areas. But for the most part, all our initial research and our initial introduction and our initial approach is just done on Twitter. And it is just a case of searching for these keywords relating to your organization, along with crypto or NFT or Bitcoin. And quite quickly, once you find that first few people, quite quickly the space reveals itself to you based on who people are talking to on Twitter, based on what people are posting and sharing. Quite quickly, you have your hands full of more people that you'd like to ask than you can find the time to ask. So quite quickly it maps itself out, but it is really just on Twitter through Google. The other thing as well is people do try to make best PR out of these crypto donations as well. So even just looking in for news stories and finding out what cryptocurrencies are donated to similar charities to yours, then maybe looking at them and potentially approaching them or looking to see who they interact with on Twitter. But quite quickly, a lot of it is just the Googling and the looking on Twitter to try and find people who you think could be a good person to approach. And I'd also just add they're all very friendly. So even if they can't help you directly, they can often point you in the direction of someone else. So yeah, they're a great bunch to be working with.
I think that's a nice point to add too, just that they're friendly. It makes it a little bit less scary that if when someone says, no, I can't help you, that they usually try to help you in any way that they can. And then Helena, on the FTX collab, I think this is really a good example of why a lot of the organizations that we work with choose to work with us. Our exchange partner on the back end is actually a full reserve exchange and custodian. So their assets are held one-to-one. They're actually one of the only crypto exchanges that is actually in New York, established themselves as a New York trust. So they're subject to additional cybersecurity requirements, subject to annual audits from the NYS DFS. So I think part of the issue with FTX and how they were operating and what happened with them is that you have something that's operating very much like a bank that doesn't have the regulations that a normal bank would have to make sure that they can't be over leveraged and can't become illiquid. So in terms of trust on crypto and generally, one of the upsides to this happening is, at least for all of our clients, there's no exposure to that. It's not going to affect them in any way. One of the plus sides of this happening is it's looking like it's going to promote regulation in the industry a little bit quicker than might have happened without that happening. That being said, in the short term, it hasn't helped with overall cryptocurrencies, their asset prices on the market. So kind of just like David was saying, you're still reaching out, you're still stewarding donors, but probably not the best time to ask for direct donations, up front, but really creating those relationships in those communities is what we try to focus our communication for our clients on in some of those times. And then hoping that additional regulation to the space brings a lot of those institutional investors back, brings trust into the space, going forward in the future. But for our clients, there's no direct exposure to that FTX collapse or anything like that. Part of what we do is try to make sure that this is easy for you guys, but we've always operated from a security first mindset from day one. So just trying to make sure that you're doing this as safe as possible in a safe and compliant way is really what's paramount too for you guys. And I think we got through all of the questions in the chat. If you guys have any other questions in the chat, definitely post them now. happy to go over, any questions, any concerns that you guys still have. But if you guys have no more questions, I'm going to take it that I did a perfect job. So we have a few different packages, Katie, really depending on like how actively you're looking to fundraise crypto. I think I'm still sharing my screen. If you scan this, you can book a demo with us. It's like 15, 20 minutes. We'll walk through kind of what those different packages are. Really depending on like how actively you're looking to fundraise crypto is the difference. If you guys are just looking for an extra donation method from your donors, or if you're looking for additional fundraising support, like hand holding through the crypto fundraising strategy process is really going to be the difference between, how much it costs. But generally pretty comparative to like other fundraising software. But if you scan this QR code, you can book a demo. And I can send you over some information too, Katie, if you want to email me at carl@thegivingblock.com. Well, thanks so much for hosting this, Laura, and thanks for jumping on, David. I really appreciate your insight. I thought that was awesome. I thought you gave such great direct experience in the space. And if you have any final words for the community, would love to hear them. But really appreciate you jumping on here, and really appreciate you, Laura, for hosting this.
Well, thank you so much for having us, and lovely to speak to everyone. As I say, I really enjoy talking to organizations about crypto. I'm on Twitter as well at Mitchell_David. I'll put that in the chat. And if anyone's got any sort of specific questions or anything like that, I'm always happy to chat with them, because I know it's sometimes good to hear from other fundraising organizations as well. So people are always welcome to just give me a shout if there's anything they want to chat about too.
Thanks so much, guys. We'll have a good rest of the week, and scan this QR code if you guys have any questions about crypto fundraising. Connect with David if you want to ask him some questions personally. And thank you so much, Laura, for hosting it again.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Bye.